Welcome to the podcast, Organized Mayhem. We're coming to you from 110 South 11th Street, which is the home of Maria and the Rap Shack. And we are here to talk to you about all things Philadelphia restaurant business and everything in between. I'm Cammie, here with my brother Scott and my friend John Lupa. There we go. Welcome to another episode of Organized Mayhem. I'm here with the boys and a special guest. Boys, where are you?
We are at 110 South 11th Street at Maria, next door to the Rap Shack at 112 South 11th Street.
Okay, very good. And everybody, just real quick, how is everybody doing? I know we're about to start restaurant week. Everyone's okay?
I mean, it's one day in, and we're great. I'm still alive. I feel good.
I have nothing to do with it, so whatever.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with it. So,
Lucky bastard.
yeah, I'm doing well.
Well, today, you guys are ready for, but you guys are probably just like tired and getting geared up and ready to go. Very exciting. But today we have an exciting guest. So that should take the pressure off the boys, Scott and Lupa. So I am going to introduce our guest, and his name is Cory. Cory, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you right now? You're with the boys at the Rap Shack. How do you know these guys?
So my name's Cory Elmi. So I know these gentlemen because I, for 7 years, ran MilkBoy next door over at 1100 Chestnut Street. As a general manager. I also overlooked the one on South Street. I recently just taken on a new position. I'm the general manager at Han Dynasty over at 3701 Market Street in University City, Philadelphia.
Okay. So how long have you been in this business, in the restaurant business?
Honestly, I started as a food runner at a local restaurant called Sylvan Street Grill in New England when I was 15 years old.
So you've
and
been
I'm now 45. I'll be 46 next month.
So 15. And did you like the business, or was it just tell me how you got into the business at 15?
Honestly, it was a combination of my mother was the host there and they needed a food runner and she volunteered me. And it was good because I needed extra money because I was the oldest of 6 kids. My parents just, were lower middle class working people and they just could not afford to give me like an allowance. And I was like, yeah, no problem.
6 kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
so do you think your history, like growing up in the business as a food runner, are you more sensitive to food runners, or do you feel like because you know what the work and effort you put into it, you're hard on food runners?
I mean, I started off as a food runner and a busser when I was 16. I was a server by 18. I was a bartender by 25, and I was a manager by 30. So it's like I've done every position in the front of the house per se for pretty much any restaurant.
Who are you hardest on?
Who am I hardest on?
Yeah.
Bartenders.
Yes.
Bartenders. And why is that?
Because they're the ones who are the most full of shit.
Now, wait a second. Okay.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So, all right. So food runners, or maybe we're like a little bit more patient with. Have you bartended before?
Oh, I bartended for like 9 years. In Philadelphia, I bartended at vintage and time restaurants between 2008 to 2014. I also bartended like other various spots as well.
Okay. So what do you like about bartending and what do you not like about bartending?
Well, see, for me, bartending, I liked it. And I consider myself pretty, well adjusted to it because a couple of things. A, it's like your own realm. You control it. And if you do it proper, you can make a lot of money and make a lot of, and keep it going by, basing a good clientele, by having a rapport with the people that come in. And they keep coming in because they like coming in because you take care of them. It's more of I feel like it can be one of the biggest connections in a restaurant, like a bigger connection as compared to like a server with, guests who come in every day and sit in different sections. If you're a bartender, certain people will come in to see you on their days because they like coming in to talk to you. They also know that you'll take care of them without too much like noise around it. Like they know like what your favorite drink is. If you want an app, good bartender can make someone at ease in their environment, and therefore they're enjoying it. But at the same time, when I say that bartenders are full of shit, you get a lot of bartenders who are so high in themselves and they think they can do no wrong. And that was never my mindset. And I always try to instill that mindset on other bartenders, on management. I'm just kind of like, strive to be your best, but don't think, you can just rest on your laurels and just do what you want. You got to always keep moving forward every day and trying to learn something and try to teach yourself, give yourself a teachable moment on what to get things done in a restaurant to be more adverse into the restaurant and helping others around you. Making a bartender a team player can be one of the bigger difficulties for any restaurant management and ownership.
I mean, I imagine like for you as a general manager, you said your mom was a hostess.
My mom was a hostess at the restaurant I was working at. Again, it was called Sylvan Street Grill. It literally was like one step above a TGI Fridays in New England. And why I say it's one step because it served like lobster rolls and fried clams because it was next to the shore. But like it was also like doing like just like potato skins and popcorn, like stuff you would find at any restaurant, like neighborhood restaurant.
But I imagine like having your mom as a hostess and you were a runner, that you do like you can relate to people, but also you could, when you experience what they've done, like you can also have a certain level of expectation how the work is to be done.
Yeah. I mean, my family, I'll be honest with you, like a lot of my family members, like my sister, my oldest sister was a server, bartender in New York and became a chairman of California for a little bit. My youngest sister is a server. My brother is a well-known chef in Philadelphia. My father was a bartender at Ground Round, of all places, back in the 80s. We all remember Ground Round. So my family was all in restaurants. So it kind of like grew up.
Do you know the business? And would you say, like, how do you feel about the business? Do you love the business? Do you hate the business?
I love the business in that if it's done right and proper, you can go into a place and you enjoy it and you feel at ease. But also, it's like you can go somewhere. If I sit at a bar somewhere and I see if things are not going well, it brings me so much anxiety watching it that I'll jump up and be like, you want to run plates? You want to go over there? I'll greet them. Let me help you out. I'll be right. Like it's like I've become that in tune to it. So it's like a double-edged sword of sorts,
I totally hear that.
I was just about to say, I can't watch The Bear. Do you watch The Bear?
Oh, The Bear's great. I mean, does it give me anxiety? Yes, but I have anxiety these days anyhow.
I watched the first season. I couldn't watch the second season.
Oh, yeah? Wait till you watch the second season. The Christmas episode will hit home.
So good.
Like, I've dealt with that so many times. But please, back to our host.
I will say this. I drink at MilkBoy semi-frequently. Cory created one of the best bars in the city, I think.
Thank you, John.
Yes. It's always a homely place. The bartenders get to know you. It's one of those places you go for one drink or 10 and you feel very at home. It's a great bar. I haven't been to Honolulu yet.
Again,
Post Cory.
Yeah, different scenarios. I'm like, there's two things people don't realize. There's like, you have bars that serve food, which is what MilkBoy is.
Right.
And a restaurant which has a bar, which is what Han Dynasty is, which I'm at right now. Which coincidentally is what Maria is.
Right.
This is more of a restaurant that has a bar. You're not a bar that serves food.
Right.
Where Rat Shack is a bar that serves food. You have one of each.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, if I'm like spelling that correctly.
Yeah.
At times. Every day is different.
So now you're coming into, like you said, you were at MilkBoy, and then now you're going into a new venture.
Yeah.
When you're able to, like, when you go into a new venture, I'm sure part of it is like sizing up the atmosphere, sizing up how things are running over there. Like, how's that been going?
I mean, it's different. Like right now, I jumped into a different culture, so I'm trying to like reorganize that because I'm actually like, it's in University City, so it's a lot of kids who are in school working there. They were very disorganized of sorts. And I got in there and we got organized and it's great. But like,
is there something that you first look for? Like when you first go in, is it like there's something that you start off with right away? Like that's how I start?
Yeah, my first thing I did was download Google Translate because the kitchen all speaks Mandarin.
It speaks Mandarin.
Yes.
So how is that going with using
me and the chef can communicate well now, but we have to be like and like go like that back to each other as we're talking and trying to figure things out because again he knows like 4 words in English. I think I got 5 words in Mandarin at will right now. And they're usually like, and 2 of them are like spicy or not spicy, because Han Dynasty is known for spicy food.
Right.
I mean, that's what the food is amazing. Like, I've been there about 2 months and I'm still, people are like, are you sick of the food yet? I'm like, no. Yeah. The food's fantastic. And the kitchen is great. It's like a crack unit. Like they can just bang out anything. And then, the kids work there, they're sweet kids, everything. It's just like, it was just getting more of them getting organized.
What time are you open till?
Actually, 9:30. Yeah, because it's early over University City. It shuts down. We're gonna extend hours more as we get into like nicer weather because we have a nice patio. But when I started there, it was like 9:30. So because
maybe you can have a little work-life balance, which is hard for a restaurant business.
Yeah, I'm sure Cory.
It is
2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Yeah, because I used to work till like 11, 2 a.m.
Right.
But it's like, I'll be honest with you, it's intense because like I've never dealt with a clientele who gets so difficult and minute about their orders for Chinese food. Like people get pissy about their Chinese food.
Can you give an example?
I have to be honest with you. I'm that. Yeah, I love Chinese food. So
right.
I get pissy.
I bet you do. I mean, and that's the other aspect of that whole thing too. Was like, I was running a bar that serves food and had a venue. of like, you know, we did rock concerts. Right now, like on a given day, we do like half our sales in to-go food. So it's like, as soon as we open DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub, it's like, it starts spinning and people are like ordering like that. And it's like, it's not surprising to get like 10 orders at a time.
So is there an example like of a story where somebody recently, we just started, like was really particular about their order?
Yeah, this lady asked me for lo mein, no soy sauce. And I went, well, miss, the sauce for lo mein consists of soy sauce and oil. And it says it right there. And she went, I guess I just want plain noodles then. And I went, I can do that. And then she went, and then she got them and she went, well, they're flavorless. And I went, well, let me explain. And I had to like go through that one. And it took all my patience not to be like, lady, what's going on with you? You know, but you know, I discovered I had to, you know, I made a new well of patience within me because there's no other choice in that matter. There's some people you gotta have patience and project like knowledge and be like, do you know what you need? And what can I do to get you to that point? People are like, that's what I want. And you're like, yeah, all right, there we go. All right, we got there. You know, you can't like be pissy and be like, you know, I'm going to use some language here. Lady, fuck off. You know, like you can't do that. And like a lot of bars in Philadelphia, they do that. You know, like someone will come in and be like, can I have tomato soup, no tomatoes? And you're like, are you out of your head? You know, like, you know, Philadelphia is known for having colorful language. We all know that.
So is patience something that comes easy to you?
No, not at all. I'm a lot of things. I have high energy. I can jump up and run around, and that's what I've done so well what I'm doing. I can display patience, and I have good grace under pressure because things can happen in any restaurant that we can always go over from anything. Like I just came back from the restaurant because we had a blown circuit with a dishwasher, and I had to bring a maintenance guy and figure out which circuit board was it. That kind of stuff. But with patience, yeah, I'm still learning because I got I've been exercising more, which everyone in restaurants should do. I feel like anyone in restaurants should go.
Can you say that a little louder for the boys? Because I don't know if they heard that.
Go exercise. You know, like anything.
I wake up every morning. That's an exercise.
I go running. I've been running now 3 times a week just to get the energy out of me. Like you store negative energy. I feel when you deal with people who could be less than ideal in their mindset. And after a while, if you don't blow it off, it's just got to go somewhere, you know?
Have you had an experience where you're like, oof, I wish I could have handled that better?
I did one time when I had a guy who was from out of town and didn't understand Yingling. And then was just like, and I was just like, yeah, it's Yingling. Like, what is wrong with you? Because he was like, well, how do you say this? Young? And like, he was like, I never was in the city before, so I didn't know. And I was just like, I'm sorry, man. It's pronounced Yingling. It's O's Brewery, and you know, it was cool, but I felt horrible because
I wish I could have been there when you said.
I was such a smart ass to this guy, and I was like, it's Yingling, man. What the hell's wrong with you? And he was like, I'm from Kentucky. I've never heard of Yingling before. And I was like, I'm so sorry, dude. Yeah. Let's go over here. Let me buy you a shot. You know, like sometimes you catch yourself, and like I feel like in any type of industry, if you are better if you catch yourself, correct your mistake, and move forward and acknowledge that you made a mistake.
And what about like, as you know, general manager of a staff and sometimes a young staff, as you said, like is there a lot of students in the staff? Like, are you able to?
My staff is 60% students.
And how's patience with the students?
I'm doing really well with them because most of them are pretty good kids. The holidays were horrible because we had to be open for Christmas because one of the busiest times of the year for a Chinese restaurant is Christmas. Right. And all of them were like, I got to go home to my family. And I'm like, what? All right, what am I going to do? You know, but I mean, most of these kids they really want to learn and they're pretty easygoing. You know, I've had some other people be like, oh, well, Gen Z is touch and go. And there's been a little bit of that. And I can I could elaborate that if I got more about it because I didn't see that as much over at the bar. But like, if you are willing to listen to them and not just react to their words, but like taking what they say and be like, all right, so where can we get to a point where we can meet halfway so you understand where I'm coming from and I'm trying to understand where you come from? You're going to win that battle most of the time.
Use that. I'm going to change my ways. Thank you, Cory.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, listen, I think that in life, I think in life, that's a great skill. I think from, you know, I'm not in the restaurant business. And I think like there's a couple things that make it more difficult in the restaurant business is that it's a service business. So people have high expectations of, you know, being in a restaurant. And also it's hectic, right? Like you're doing a lot in a short period of time. Like, it's that energy from the bear.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing too. Like I was telling these guys, like it's weird. Like in the bar, especially this bar, which is unusual. The bar I ran at MilkBoy, you know, it's open from 7 in the morning till 2 in the morning. That's a long period of time. It's like New Orleans time, you know, and it's busy over there. But it was not busy to the extent I experienced here. Like we open at Han Dynasty 11 in the morning. We're done by 9:30, and we have intense lunches where literally like 100 people will walk through our door in like 20 minutes and like demand to be fed in 20 minutes and get out. And you're dealing with people like, I don't want water chestnuts, but I want mushrooms. Do you have to, you know, like, and you have to deal with all that. And it's like too big, you know, and then when you're done, where
two of my favorites, water. I love water chestnuts and I love mushrooms.
You'll imagine, you'll be surprised how many people can't stand that. Like people are just like, I want noodles and shrimp. You're like, sure, whatever you want, you know? But I mean, also like being a general manager too, you gotta remember, like, you gotta be jack of all trades. Like, again, like you gotta learn some knowledge of plumbing, some knowledge of being an electrician, some knowledge on the internet. Like if the Wi-Fi goes down, you're in charge of getting it fixed. You know, that, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like why are the bathroom lights not working? You know, why is the dishwasher down? They look at you first. And like, and then one thing I always keep, which my grandfather told me before he, you know, think rational, think fast, act faster, and don't panic.
All right, repeat that again.
Think rational, think fast, act faster, and don't panic.
And do you think that you're able to process that pretty quickly on the job?
3 out of the 4 times, yes. One of those times, sometimes I don't.
Right.
So, like, you know, it's one of those things. You know, like that's the motto I try to keep by when, like, you know, when working in, you know, running a restaurant, because the general manager is the leader. Like, is a chef the leader of the back of the house? Yes, absolutely. But for better purposes and all intents purposes, the general manager is the person running the restaurant as a whole. They're the ones who have the answer to any type of thing that happens, any component within or outside of the restaurant.
Well, the general manager knows what's going on in front of the house and the back of the house at the same time, and has to deal with the go-between between the two.
Right.
Because the chefs always want to say, what the hell's going on out there? And then the server is always like, what's going on in the kitchen? So it's a meeting of the minds that the general manager or the owner has to kind of get in between.
Now, Cory, one thing that we've talked about with Lupa, Scott and I have talked about it. I don't know what your feelings about this. So when you're at a bar, right, it's a bar and you've got bartenders and people, how do you feel about like having a drink with the staff after hours, or when the staff like takes a couple, you know, like sits at the bar and has a drink? Do you have a philosophy on that?
Yeah, it depends on what the place is. And this is where I go. Like the place I came from was one step above a dive bar. It was a shot and beer bar. I didn't mind my staff having got to work. We gave them like a certain couple of drinks, but there was rules I had. I went, hey, you get 2 hours. If you're done at 4, you better be out by 6.
Okay.
You know, and also 2, you cause any drama, you will never drink again. My number 1 rule I had, which is like my all encompassing rule, was when you come into work, leave your drama at the door and pick it up when you leave. I don't want your drama here. Like,
these are all good. These are all good expressions, guys. You should take some notes. That's a good one.
I used the word grandfather earlier. I had an uncle who taught me all this, who said all this stuff to me. But you know, like, you're gonna come and do your job. Just come here and do your job. I'm not asking. Like, I don't adhere to that policy. A lot of restaurants will be like, we're a family, and I'm like, I don't like my own family, so I'm not gonna like you. But I will respect you. You will respect me, because I don't tolerate disrespect in the building. And just come in and do your job, and then go on with your life. Now, if you want to drink afterwards or 2, obviously you want to blow steam up, that's fine. And, you know, I'm all for that. I can't do that now at this place I'm working at. It's just not feasible. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that. And I've worked in restaurants where it's like, you're not allowed. And the reason why you're not allowed in a lot of places is they're even semi-corporate. I've seen too many incidents where a server or bartender got off work, they sit at a bar, and they're having a drink, and a regular comes in, and all of a sudden the regular is offended. And now you have a situation where you have a regular is offended at one of your employees because they got into a verbal argument, and now the regular is taking umbrage to it, and you got to deal with it.
Ugh, babies.
Right, but it's a fact, and I mean that's especially a issue that happens in corporate. That's why any corporate restaurant like Chili's, like that, no one's allowed to drink in the bar, not even their day off. They come in their day off, they're like, you can sit in the dining room by yourself and your friends. Don't sit in the bar and interact with other guests, especially the regulars, because of that notion that can happen, of that situation that can occur.
Cory, what's your philosophy on regulars? Like, are they the foundation of a business to you, or is it just like?
I mean, they're part of it.
Yeah.
They're not all of it, because you always want to
talk about it. Yeah.
You always got to expand your base. You always got to introduce new people in to make them and let them be part of it too. If you just rely on regulars, then you will slowly drown in molasses because you're not moving it forward.
Right.
That's what was happening at 18th Street. We were always I mean, we were always getting customers, but at 18th Street,
Big time regulars.
they would just get so excited, just, oh, this person's coming or that person's coming, and then they forget about the other customers.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
well, again, that's training on staff. All the, they should be able to take on people they've known for 3 years, people they know for 3 seconds of life.
Right.
And if they can't, then you have an issue there. I will take care of regulars to the best of my ability, but I also make sure there are lines drawn, and make them understand that. Management, again, like one of those things, they should be deft and being able to make people understand where that line is without actually having to purposely put it out loud on the table.
I got you.
Yeah.
What about now also as the general manager, like just even organization of the kitchen, like when you came into this new position at this new restaurant, like did you have to make tweaks to how like the kitchen runs?
No, that was not one thing I had to deal with. That was all taken care of. Have I helped them with some stuff? Like, yes, like we had a circuit board shorted or something like this happened, or, someone needed to start like cleaning better conditions. Yes. Because, you got to like there's a lot of things you got to deal with that regard, especially the kitchen's mostly the unit that cleans the restaurant,
Right.
especially in the kitchen where most of the mess occurs. You got to make sure they're cleaning properly. The other thing too, which most people here can relate to, is health inspections.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, is chock full of them. I just had ours we passed.
As neighbors, we'd always run back and forth.
Yeah.
Too,
Yes, I mean, health inspection is something that we all. It's not we're saying it's bane of our existence, but we sweat them because they can shut you down in a heartbeat if things are not looking up to spec. Now, let me.
And every inspector is different, so some of them
Correct.
are looking at different things, and you get a new inspector, and they're looking at something totally different that bothers them, but didn't bother the other inspector.
Helps that before. Now, granted, Philadelphia, I'm not saying it takes a lot. Obviously, if you have an infestation of sorts, they're going to shut you down.
Which is a good thing.
No, absolutely.
And it's
But
a good
yes, that's absolutely correct. Like, obviously, you want the public to understand, like, your place is clean and safe and sanitized. And what the thing is, the matter is, a general manager has to convey that in multiple languages, usually in the kitchen, which I had to. I had to go to Mandarin, guys, please wipe above the woks because there's oil splatter. And then to the guys in the kitchen who are cutting meat, let's clean the walls over here, guys, because you have splat. And some people don't realize that, but you need someone to explain that to them, and they go, and it clicks. And then you go, this is what we got to do daily. Okay. And make them understand it without coming off like you're a know-it-all.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you about egos, like, because you were saying that bartenders have egos, but, I've always heard that chefs also have egos, that
Chefs have different egos because chefs have an ego of they know what they're doing, not like I know everything, more like I know what I'm doing. If you convey to a chef that you work hard and you're trying to point a point across of reaching a goal together, chef's nowhere near as hard to deal with if the chef is a good chef as opposed to a bartender. A good bartender can still have ego of I'm going to go off on my own. A chef will never really go off on their own because they're just as vital. And most chefs are not that, they know they're not that self-important. Bartenders kind of go off on their own tangent, in my opinions. A chef who does do that will haywire a restaurant completely, and everyone will see that, including our ownership, and that will be cut off much faster. Whereas a bartender can go under a radar.
You gotta get away with it.
Yeah.
It can get away with it for a little
Right.
bit and fester, and then all of a sudden you have a problem.
Right. That's a funny, yeah.
Right.
Lupa, do you feel like you have this same kind of philosophy as Cory does?
A lot of it, yeah. No, definitely a lot of it. It's, I think he kind of comes from the same cloth that I am. It's a game of managing people, and there's a million different personalities, and you have to kind of wear a bunch of different hats to match all those personalities.
Mhm.
So I got a question for you, Cory.
Sure.
I have many questions,
This
but
will be good.
There we go.
Lupa has been doing the schedule of the staff, and he's miserable. And I deal with it every week.
Mhm.
Do you do the schedule?
I do.
And do you have any tips for Lupa?
Not tips. Do you like it?
No, but
Nobody fucking likes it.
I deal
Scott
with.
goes, it's so easy. It takes 5 minutes.
I
I
mean-
go, okay, you do it.
But the thing
Not
is,
once have
so
we
here's
seen the
my
Scott
thing. First
schedule.
off, I don't know what your scheduling's like, but I put a schedule out 2 weeks ahead of time.
We try. It's usually one.
I do, no matter what. It gets done by Thursday for the schedule for a week after next week.
Right.
Number two, we have an app called Homebase. The apps are actually been so much easier to use these days, and it makes them able to switch with each other, and so or I don't have to be like, who's covering what. They
But
do it.
you let people switch with each other because one of the things, like for Rap Shack, if I have two people that kind of don't like each other or they don't have a good vibe, I know it's going to be a slow night. So over here at Berea, I don't really care. It's just about the cocktails and get down. At Rap Shack, if I have two bartenders that kind of like don't have a good vibe together, people aren't going to stay.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. You're dealing with a very like you have a very small staff, and you're thinking of that combo. So I get where you're coming from. Where I'm at, I have a much larger operation, so people don't have to operate that close together.
Yeah.
Like my operation usually is like 3 servers, a bartender, a food runner, a packer, because that's how much to-go food we do, and a host. So it's like 7 or 8 people working at a time. They're usually independent of each other.
A packer.
We have a packer.
Oh,
Yeah.
an expo. Yeah.
I call it bagging the groceries.
All right.
The Chinese food, actually, a packer, like when I picture like Chinese takeout, it's one of the things that like easily there's spills like in that container, right? Like, because there's sauces and.
Yeah, I mean, they have to like move fast because, like I said, like they can have 10 orders in 1 minute, and they're packing things as fast as they can, and they got to communicate with the kids. They use Google Translate also, or like pointing, and like making sure like the food comes right, ready. And then like get it all, make sure the serving utensils are there and all the sauces, because like we have soy, duck, and mustard.
Can I ask you this? How many times you get a phone call and they go, "Hey, there's soy sauce in the bag"?
Once a day.
Okay.
Once a day. Okay, so like you're talking about apps, like you were talking about this app. I don't know if the guys use an app, but also there's apps like to get the food, and you're doing a huge takeout order. So like, do you both use like Grubhub and Uber Eats, or like are there multiple parties?
Our app we use is Grubhub. I'm sorry, number one is Uber Eats. Okay. I'm sorry, no, I apologize. DoorDash. DoorDash is our number one app. Like 60% of our to-go food is DoorDash. And then I'd say
guys for Rap Shack and the same thing. DoorDash.
Yeah. DoorDash is number one right now. It used to be Grubhub, but Grubhub is falling. It's
declining.
It's declining. I think.
Why do you think? Is there? Why do you think?
Pricing.
Oh, pricing.
Yeah, DoorDash offers more price as a better pricing, especially in weather. Like when we had that snowstorm Friday, the Grubhub was like $5 more than DoorDash on an average. I looked at that because I got curious. I was like, how much is these apps charging? And like DoorDash, I mean, they all charge higher. It's like Uber, but like DoorDash, like was much less higher than Grubhub and Uber Eats.
Do you notice a difference in service between the two companies?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, no, because I'll be honest, because you'll see this, especially in big cities, like you'll see like drivers will work for like 2 of them. Like I see one driver who comes in will like hand me both a DoorDash and a Grubhub phone. I'll be like, all right.
I see that too. Now, what about like do you guys see the same? Like, there's not much of a difference between apps, or do you see a difference of quality between the people from one app? Or...
To us, we use a third-party delivery service, so most of it kind of runs through there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of delivery service, there's somebody here for a delivery.
What can I do for you, brother? Yeah, you're 2 doors down. Yep, 2 doors. Where Tough Tomato is.
We're seeing the
Philadelphia.
So basically, we use a third-party delivery service, and that's probably Relay.
So you looked around and was like, "Hey, there's no one here."
So, yeah, but so the place next door has a ghost kitchen, so they have no idea. I think that was Mr. Beast.
Okay.
Mr. Beast, a little plug for them. And
that's a different delivery service?
It's a storefront for them.
It's a ghost kitchen, basically.
Oh, ghost kitchen.
Yeah.
Ghost kitchens is like when a restaurant's slow on doing like delivery service, so they make up a kitchen that people will click on because they never saw it before, and they're like, "Oh, fried chicken! I didn't see that part before. Let's try that out."
Do you guys do any of those, Cory?
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah, I don't.
Did you
We did it during the pandemic for like a month.
We actually had a funny logo.
Fried in Philly. It was good.
Yeah.
We don't do it anymore.
What was it called?
Fried in
It
Philly.
was a guy with red
It
eyes.
was all
Stoner food.
stoner food.
All right.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
Now, like when one of those
apps
apps like glitch, when one of those apps glitch, it probably looks badly on the restaurant, but you guys did it. It's not your fault, obviously.
You know what we find? It's not that the apps glitch. It's that you'll get a false complaint. or something like that. And they call Grubhub, they complain about something, and Grubhub refunds them all the money, and we're like, the food went out on time. It wasn't spilled. It was the same food we made for 100 customers today. That's what I think is
we deal with that. We deal with that at least once a day also.
Right.
Someone's always complaining
about something.
Correct. Yeah. And then,
even though you serve 300 other customers the exact same food,
correct.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, there's people out there who are going to do it on purpose because they know they're going to get their money back without much of a fight. Yeah, but like for us, like I'll catch them and try to fight them.
Right.
But like the sheer volume of what I'm doing sometimes.
Right.
A month ago, someone actually asked for their money back for a Sprite, a canned Sprite, because it was flat.
A canned Sprite.
Yeah. That was a good one.
It happens.
And again, it goes back to what you were saying in the beginning. Is sometimes, look, you give people the patience, the benefit of the doubt, and they're having a tough day, and you chalk it up, and you can't lose your cool. You've got a lot of other customers. Like it's one down, then you're on to the next. Especially like you're in such a compact time, like you're so many people so quick.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta you gotta project that because going right now it's 2024. The landscape, especially you keep seeing restaurants are opening, but you keep seeing restaurants that close. Right. And right now we're in January, and I've heard a lot of people already saying, "Man, it's quiet, more quiet than it was last year." Because people are tightening their belts. Like people are being more careful where they spend their money at.
I agree.
Well, I also think that a lot of restaurants, were feeding off the Eagles last year, and unfortunately, they did lose. Mm-hmm. So
how'd that happen?
Hey, pipe down over there, Atlanta.
Yeah, but it does
Bill
take
Belichick,
effect
Atlanta,
a little bit. People aren't out as much as he's not as happy in the freezing cold to go out.
Yeah, listen, it is really cold outside, but we're used to it. And having to me, like having a good place to eat and not have, because I don't feel like cooking right now. So
yeah, I'm just laughing because people for the past 2 years have been bitching oh my God, we had no snow. Oh my God, global warming. We have a snowstorm. People oh my God, it's so cold. It's just you guys
you can't make people happy. So you're from Boston? Is that where you're from?
I initially grew up north of Boston, correct. I grew up called Newbury, West Newbury, which is and then if you look at Massachusetts, that little bowl right below New Hampshire, which is Cape Ann. That's where I grew up on. You
don't have an accent. Maybe a little.
I moved to Philadelphia in September 10th, 2000. I've been here since. So it's been 23 years. It was half my life. So
did you make the switch to sports teams, or I see you're wearing a 76ers hat?
I switched several years ago. Part of that was going home and family members being what'd you think of our team? After a while, I was just now I know why everyone hates you. So and my family was funny. I'm yeah, that's accurate. So, I would go to a local bar and people were you want the water champions? I know, I'd be oh, God, now I know why y'all hate the accent too. All right. So,
and before we wrap up, is there any other other advice even advice to Lupa and Scott? I know you gave a lot of great sentences about how to stay calm, how to stay relaxed, but any other parting wisdom, your philosophy about what you do, and do you still like what you do?
I mean, I still love what I do because I get a sense of at the end of the day, if it goes right, you feel really good about how well it went. And the other night, I had two guests who came over and gave me a tip, which I gave to the server, but the server was having a problem with these guests, and I went over and I solved it, and I showed, to me, it's get people to look my way and how they see things, and they get it, then that brings a lot to me of all right, I accomplished a goal, which is making people understand how I see things to make things go forward.
Part of the whole thing about this podcast is to bring to light of how hard it is to be in your business, because even in this short time, we've been talking for about, half an hour, and sometimes you're being therapist, sometimes you're being babysitter, sometimes you're just, managing a soy sauce packet. It's from the mundane to more serious stuff, breaking up bar fights or watching something happen. That's a lot that goes on in a restaurant. That's what makes the bear interesting.
So yeah, I'll give you one more quote I had, which I used to use, I use still, is, they always say the customer is always right. I have a long one, which is you take care of your staff, the staff takes care of your guests, and you'll make money. So to me, I always say, if you make sure you have your staff's back 100% and make them understand, you'll help them out. your restaurant's going to run 100% smoother. When everyone has their different styles of being a general manager. I always say I'm like half Pete Carroll, half the dad from that 70s show, where I can be like, I'll put my foot up your ass in a second if you don't do what I ask. But I pat them on the back. So that's the other one is you always try to pat them on the back and kick them in the ass at the same time. Be like,
you are like Red Foreman.
Yeah, there you go. You gotta, make them understand. Like you gotta get respect from them, but you don't have to be loved. Like I don't care if my staff likes me or not. But like I said before, I don't tolerate any disrespect in the building. You give me the respect, and I'll give you the respect, and we can move forward. And if you do that, I feel like most staff who actually gives their weight and what they can do will respond to that in kind, and you can move forward and get your team to advance to the goal you want, which is having a good day at your bar, restaurant, whatever.
So, my last part is really about the relationship between how you know Lupa and my brother, because they speak very highly of you. And
so I would come over here when I was GM at least once a day, and I would either borrow something, tell him the weather, which I always things I was great at, but Scott will tell you at great detail how.
Oh yeah, that you stink. Yeah.
Horrible.
But also, we're a neighborhood, and like I talked to the guys at Top Tomato, and I talked to we have each other's back. Like if someone walked in here was acting weird, I'd be over and be like, "We just threw that guy out.
Right.
Give you a heads up right now. You want to get him out of here?" And they were like, "Thanks for the heads up." And they were like, "Yep." And like that kind of stuff. It's like not only is a bar like a micronism of like a social community, but so is the neighborhood itself. Love Street has that. Like MilkBoy, Mariah's, Slap Shack, Top Tomato, even like Primo Hoagies all the way down. Like they all kind of like are like their own organism.
It's really nice.
Like ecosystem. And like Philadelphia has those ecosystems. Like there's an ecosystem where I'm at in Brewery Town where I live with different bars and restaurants. And there's one in Passyunk and there's one on 13th Street. Like they're all, and some are bigger than others and some are smaller than the others, but every neighborhood has their own like ecosystem of how they work, who they know, and so forth. Because like Looper told you, like he'll leave here, but he'll go next door to drink at MilkBoy. And some of the other staff members do that. Some of my staff members come over here or over at Rap Shack. And some go over to Top Tomato. Top Tomato, like we all kind of see each other, catch each other up, talk about what's going on. Like we're next to the hospital, so we know a lot about the hospital's business.
The fun time is when they're doing it in the middle of their shift, which that's never good.
Well, my staff didn't drink in the middle of their shifts. I don't know about you guys.
Well, they don't do it anymore, but back in the day when we were at 18th Street, we used to have a little problem. But yeah, the staff now, they understand. I had no tolerance policy. There was no tolerance policy back then, but there were so many bars right next to each other. And there was some hidden bars that sometimes be a problem.
These are interesting problems that I think are unique to running restaurants. But I'm sure you boys miss Cory. You might not miss him borrowing so much stuff.
No.
Now we're doing better ever since he's left. So our sales are
way up,
and we're buying a lot less toilet paper.
The profit margin's up by 1%.
Well,
Toilet paper out here.
Yes, you have.
No, ketchup, printer paper, and various liquors, one thing. Okay, toilet paper, negative. Sorry, try again.
I can agree with that.
Rags.
Oh, definitely rags.
Yeah.
Pint glasses.
Yes.
Wine glasses.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff.
I was like Eddie Haskell from Leaving the Beaver. I come on, I'm like, "Hey, Scott." Scott's like, "What do you want, Cory?" Well, that's your Scott.
Did you find
He would go downstairs to the basement and take it himself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's being a good neighbor, right? Although sometimes being a good neighbor, you need good fences. But yes, I think that seems like good neighbor. And Cory, thank you so much for giving us the time. And I hope that you have good neighbors at your new job, at your new endeavor.
I appreciate that.
And that, that it's still continue. Listen, there's always going to be challenges and it's a really tough business, but I really hope that it works out for you there and that people will be tolerant of water chestnuts and mushrooms and soy sauce.
Right.
But thank you so much for your time. Guys, you want to plug anything else? You want to add anything else?
Restaurant Week right now till February 3rd. Make your reservation.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Restaurant Week. Cory, are you involved in Restaurant Week at all?
Absolutely not.
All right, so the boys are.
Yep. So every day we're also doing lunch for Restaurant Week on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
You said not every day.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
On Friday, Saturday, Sunday for lunch. And next week on the podcast we have B Marketing, my marketing company.
Awesome.
Be on the podcast.
Cool.
Yep. So
Also, to plug in for these guys, their food is phenomenal here, and they have great cocktails. So let them know. Please go to Mariah for Restaurant Week.
thank you so
By the
much.
way, that's the first time he actually said it correctly.
Oh,
Mariah.
yeah,
Mariah. He calls it Mariah.
I did that on purpose, by the way, just to piss him off.
Well, as a sibling, I appreciated that. Yeah. Well, everybody, and you know, I love my brother and I grew up on Chinese food, so I do love Chinese food. I would like to think that I'm not a pain in the ass as an orderer.
Oh yeah, everyone come check out Hot Nancy. I mean, listen again.
I got a question for you.
The food's
I
phenomenal.
have to interrupt.
Yeah.
Cam, you know what I'm going to ask. So my parents growing up used to order.
This is the most obnoxious thing ever.
You want to say this? Or you want me to? They used to order an order and a half, not an order, not 2 orders of Hunan chicken, and then an order and a half of Hunan shrimp. Would you do that?
Well, it's great meeting you. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Scott, thanks for having me on the show.
Yes.
Yep.
John, pleasure.
Pleasure.
Always.
Thank you so much, Cory. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hi, guys.
Signing off.
Signing off. Bye, guys.
Bye. See you next week.
Thanks everyone for joining us today for Organized Mayhem Podcast. Check us out on YouTube, X, our website, rapshackpa.com, and wayofphilly.com for updates. Once again, welcome to the Mayhem.